Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News, correspondent for Real America's Boys News and the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We are live in Getter. We just initiated the live at Getter, and also we are live ultimately in YouTube. Those are the only two platforms that we are going to go live right now. As the audience, it is possibly not receiving notifications, but hopefully, we can start receiving more notifications as people are going to be coming in. We're going to continue the live feed and let's see if people can join in. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News, correspondent for Real America's Boys News and the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Good afternoon to everybody at Getter. Good afternoon to everybody at Getter. Share the video. Share the video at Getter. Let's get more people involved in Getter. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we are about to start this live feed. I am going to basically say that linguistics, it is something that is completely important. Linguistics, it is something that is extremely important. And I am going to basically say why. The left in the United States of America has done a horrendous job, and ultimately the radical progressive left in the United States of America has composed the language and is oppressing the population, and also journalists, reporters, activists, whatever you want to call it. They're oppressing the population continuously and consistently with their linguistics. This interview that I am about to show you is a sensitive interview where a woman migrant from Venezuela, explains graphically how she was cheated by coyotes and traffickers, but also how she was ultimately abused, sexually assaulted in the Darién Gap. And the Darién Gap, I mean in Panama, between the border lines of Panama and also in the jungle, the Darién Gap, that is ultimately with Colombia and Venezuela. A horrible experience. But the most important thing right here in this interview is how the left has changed the aggressiveness of their language. As everybody knows, they categorize every person that is not agreeing with what their narrative says. They are saying, you are a conspiracy theorist, you are a fearmonger, you are a creating hysteria at the border, you're QAnon, you are a white imperialist, you are the white supremacist, you are xenophobic, transphobic, pronomphobic, and homophobic. You are all of the above. That is what they are saying consistently. And that same idea of linguistics, it is implemented all around the continent. And I have been saying this for the longest of time. It is coming around, and it is going to basically come around into the continent of America. And it is now basically in the continent of America. And I will show you why. I will show you why this is in the continent of America. How migrants now have basically, how migrants are basically now changing the terminology of a trafficker to an advisor, to somebody's giving them advice, to somebody that is telling them how and where to go. To basically, he is somebody that is a resource now of information. And, ultimately, it is that. Somebody's commentating on a Getter and says, do you tell them you're a totalitarian dictatorship? What are you talking about? If you're referencing to the hat that I'm wearing a Venezuela hat. It was a gift from a migrant that is against communism, and I am against communism And ultimately, I am against the dictatorship of communism in the whole continent of America. I'm against these socialist dictators that they're animals and they take away the freedom of not only the people of Venezuela, but all the people of the continent. So, this is the interview. Let's share the video on YouTube, please, as we are sharing also at Getter. Let's share the video at YouTube and let's share the video at Getter. And people, if we like the video and we share the video, we can get more people on the live feed. If we like the video, hit that like button and ultimately also subscribe to the channel and also share the channel. It will get more people involved and the message will get out a little bit more as we are increasing the audience at Getter. So we are going to continue. And this is, I will translate as much as I can. I will translate as much as I can this interview, as you are going to be amazed of the linguistics that migrants are being taught by the own traffickers. By the own traffickers. They're not traffickers. They're not coyotes anymore. For a migrant, they are advisors, guides, like a tourist guide, like an advisor that is advising you where to go, where not to go. That is how they are describing. That is how they are describing these traffickers, these coyotes, these human smugglers. Now, supposedly, they are advisors. That is the most graphic thing. We know about what has been going on with the women migrants, that they have been brutally abused, sexually abused in the Darién Gap. But the most amazing and unbelievable thing is that this migrant, after all that she has been through, she still calls these people advisors, guides. That is the linguistics of the left. And this is number one reason why we need ultimately to put filters, in every border. I will share some documents on why we need to put filters, why NGOs and activists that they are from the United States of America, that they're coming over here to Mexico to take advantage of the most vulnerable migrants, that there are legitimate cases of asylum and they're coming to take advantage of it. And I will show a case that it was shown 1 year ago. 1 year ago, and we showed it on the Will Johnson platform, Anthony Agüero, myself. We showed it 1 year ago. And this is why we need filters on every border. I will translate slowly, but the most amazing thing is how they are referencing now to the traffickers. They are referencing to every trafficker as an assessor, as an advisor, not as a smuggler anymore. It's so amazing how the mentality of the left, it is polluting the people that they are vulnerable. It's polluting them. And a lot of people are going to ask, where did this migrant get $4,300? Because that is what she paid. A lot of them, they go to Colombia, they work, they save money, and then they pay. A lot of them, they sell their properties. They ask for money loans from the United States family members. There's a whole different types of cases. It's not just one. Oh, they have money, they're not struggling. No, they're struggling, but every single person has a different resource of income. Listen to this interview. Listen to this.
No llega a Colombia. En Colombia están famosos asesores de viaje.
Let me stop right there immediately. After the first words of this migrant, I am going to stop. She says, we arrived to Colombia, and then you have the travel advisors. It's so sad what happened to this lady. It is extremely sad what happened to this lady. But they're not travel advisors. They're smugglers. They're traffickers. This is why the left in the United States of America wants to control the linguistics, because they change everything. It is like they are saying poor smugglers and poor traffickers, the ones that they're not being arrested, between the limitations of Acuña and Del Rio, Texas. It is unbelievable. Travel advisors. That is how she is describing them. Let me go again and translate this.
Pagué una cierta cantidad de dinero para cruzar hasta México, la
I paid a certain amount of money to cross all the way to Mexico,
frontera con mi familia.
to the border of a family, and then I asked how much you paid.
Pagué $4,250.
I paid $4,250 to get all the way to the borders of Mexico.
Desde Colombia hasta acá.
All the way from Colombia, all the way to over here. And then I ask a question. So you paid a coyote, sort of a trafficker, sort of, that kind of individual. And then she says,
Entre guías y un coyote.
Between guides, travel advisors, and coyotes. So these people that are making packages in Venezuela, these are the same mafia people that they're taking advantage of the most vulnerable migrants. They're making them believe that this package is going to be like, if you go to a tourist guide, and the tourist guide is saying, it's going to tell you, or you're going to go to this winery and you're going to get it on a canoe, and from the canoe you're going to go travel to a ranch, and from a ranch you're going to have a horseback riding. It is exactly like that, but they're selling them in WhatsApp groups, in Facebook groups, and all social media. They are selling these packages for migrants to travel. So it is a travel advisor. Holy cow. Travel advisor or guide. And I asked her, so you paid this money to a trafficker or a smuggler? And then she continuously brings back the term to say it is not a trafficker, it is a guide and also a coyote. How crazy is this? The changing of the words. It is so amazingly crazy. But let me just put right here more.
Van pasando de país a país. Resulta que cuando llegamos nos dijeron que no íbamos nunca a cruzar el Darién.
We were going through several countries after I paid my package. They told us that I was not going to travel between enter the Darién Gap jungle.
Que íbamos a ir por lancha, que no sé qué más. Cuando llegaron nos llevaron a Necoclí.
They were telling us that we were not going to get on a little water raft, and they told us that we were going to go to another place that is called Necoclí. Necoclí, it is a city that is connected almost to Colombia and the Darién Gap.
Lancha hasta Necoclí. De Necoclí llegamos a Capulganá.
From Necoclí, they moved us to another place that is called Capulganá. These are the travel advisors, right?
Pasamos de Necoclí a Capulganá en lancha, y en Capulganá.
From Necoclí to Capulganá, we were traveling on a water raft.
3 días después nos llevaron a la selva adentro.
And 3 days after that, they took us inside of the jungle. So she paid a package, which she was not going to be inside of the jungle. But now all of a sudden, this package, it completely changed her plans. Now she is going inside of the jungle with this travel advisor, which the left in the United States of America is not talking about. These packages. It's not talking about how this mafia, it is starting all over from Venezuela, offering the most vulnerable people the packages. Look at this.
Día caminando 18 horas.
We walked more than 18 hours in the jungle.
Día vi morir una chica de 27 años al lado.
That day I saw a young lady die from 26 years old.
En uno de los pantanos, porque hay pantanos que
in un pantano, I don't know, I forgot the word to say pantano, in a pond, some sort of a pond. I saw her drown because she's explaining this kind of what kind of situation happened to her.
Le da uno por las rodillas, más abajo de las rodillas.
Then the mud, as you're crossing ponds, and all these kind of places, the water gets on, and also the dirt gets between your ankles, and then from your ankles to your knees, and from your knees a swamp. Thank you, a swamp. I crossed. She drowned in a swamp, or the swamp ate her up. The swamp started getting from your ankles to your knees, and from your knees all the way up. Then she describes what happened right here.
Más arriba de las rodillas son pantanos ¿cómo es? Cansadores.
And then, it goes all up, more up into your knees, all the way to your waist. And then, the pants, it started getting heavy.
Uno todo el día agotado caminando sin comer.
And we have been exhausted the whole day walking, more than 18 hours walking in the jungle.
Sin tomar agua.
We are walking without eating, without drinking water. This is what the Biden administration is doing. Before I move on with the translation, this is what the Biden administration and open borders are doing.
Con las mochilas el segundo día de viaje.
We were traveling with our backpacks on the first and second day of trip. That they did not told us that this was going to be the trip.
Llegamos a una isla, nos pasan en unas piraguas, en unas canoas, nos cobran.
We arrived to an island. We jumped on another water raft, and it was a cost to travel on that water raft.
$10.
It cost $10.
Llegando ahí, llegamos a la isla Armila.
From there, we arrived to another island that is called Armila.
En Armila nos dejan descansar el día siguiente, al otro día nos sacan a las 4.
The next day, they let us rest until the next day at 4 o'clock in the morning. They woke us up and they told us, let's keep walking.
Mañana a otra isla más,
they moved us to another island.
Por la orilla de la playa, 6 horas.
And we traveled all the way on the water raft 6 hours.
Llegamos a otra isla. En esa isla nos cobran $10 más para entrar.
And we arrived to another island. And that other island, they were asking us for another $10 to enter that island. Look how this business. Look at this business. Look how incentivization of the Biden administration. They're creating jobs, right? Biden is creating jobs. All of these people down south on these islands, they're carrying dollars. Biden is creating jobs. So look at what kind of jobs is he creating. Look what she says right here next.
Nos dan una tira. Nos dejan descansar.
They gave us a little time to rest. They gave us some time to rest.
En las arenas, en los pisos, como mejor ven.
We rested on the sand. We rested on the floor. It doesn't even matter. We were resting.
Vengan. Y de ahí nos paran otra vez a las 4 de la mañana a subir.
And then on the next day, they woke us up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we started hiking up the mountain in the jungle.
Después de las 4 de la mañana, dan los famosos guías.
And after the 4 o'clock in the morning, the famous guides, the travel advisors now being called, this is the linguistics. Now they are called travel advisors. Travel advisors. So she's talking about the famous guides. By now, they are called travel advisors in Venezuela, in South America. They are travel advisors. Look what she says next right here.
Antes de llegar a Armila, 2 horas antes de llegar a la isla 2 horas antes de llegar.
2 hours before we entered the island of Armila.
A la bandera.
To a place that is called the Flag. 2 hours before we enter a place that is called the Flag, that is called Bandera.
Los guías se desaparecen porque dice que si los agarra la Guardia Panameña van presos.
The guides, the travel advisors, they disappeared because they told us that they needed to disappear because if the National Guard of the Panama National Guard get them and basically caught them, they would be arrested. So they left us there.
Ahí se desaparecieron.
They disappeared right there in that point.
Mi familia toda se dispersó porque yo me doblé el tobillo y no podía.
And my whole family got dispersed in the jungle because I sprained my ankle.
Caminar el paso de los guías ni de ellos.
And I could not walk at the same pace of the guides, the travel advisors, and also my family members.
Me quedé lento.
So I started backing down and I started slowing down at the pace that they were walking.
Todos llegaron a la bandera como a eso de.
Everybody arrived to this point that is called the Flag, the Bandera.
De las 4 de la tarde.
Everybody arrived around 4 o'clock in the evening, around that time to this point that is called the Flag.
Yo llegué a las 8 de la noche.
I arrived there till all the way to 8 o'clock at night.
Estaba ya con 2 personas nada más. Porque no.
And I was there with other 2 people that they almost arrived at the same time.
Nos quedamos solos. Luego,
we stayed there alone at that point that is called the Flag.
El día siguiente que nos paramos a las 6 de la mañana, 6.
We walked on the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning. We woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Horas después de bajar la bandera, fui abusada sexualmente.
And then after that, we were traveling down the Flag. This point, the Flag, I was brutally sexually assaulted.
habían, creo que 12 haitianos.
There were around 12 people from Haiti. As I was walking down, there were 12 people from Haiti, and I was brutally abused, assaulted, sexually assaulted.
Con sus esposas y sus esposos, un
All these 12 people from Haiti, men, they were with their wives and family members.
dominicano
And there were also Dominican migrants there.
que le dieron un balazo en la cadera por
That one of them received a shot, a bullet in his hip because he did not want it to be assaulted or robbed. Oh my God, I backed it up.
cansadores. Uno todo el día de agua en una canoa a otra isla. En esa isla nos cobran $10 más. Nos dejan y de ahí nos paran otra vez a las 4 de la mañana a subir. Llegar al Mila, 2 de llegar a la. Se dice que si les agarra la guardia panameña van presos. Me dobló el tobillo, no podía caminar el paso de. Todos llegaron a las 8 de la noche, ya estaba ya. Luego del día siguiente fui abusada sexualmente con sus esposas y sus esposos, un dominicano que le dieron un balazo en la cadera por.
And again, the Dominican, I'm sorry, I backed up the live feed accidentally. So she's explaining that there was another Dominican migrant who received a shot in the hip.
¿Cierto? Creo que era una colombiana o una venezolana.
And there was another lady who she was a Colombian or a Venezuelan migrant, another Colombian or Venezuelan migrant lady. Look how she's describing these situations that they happen with these travel advisors, people. These are these travel advisors that they are making these packages for migrants to travel. This is the Biden administration, what they're incentivizing. This is their open borders. Look what she says right here next.
Mi persona, todas las mujeres fuimos abusadas sexualmente.
All of the women that we were there, we were sexually assaulted and abused.
Brutalmente.
We were brutally assaulted.
Nos golpeaban, nos pegaban. A mí me reventaron el oído.
They hit us really bad. They blew my ear. They blew up my ear. I could not hear one of my ears. And then I asked a question. Who sexually assaulted you? Who hit you with this? Who started hitting you?
Son los indios de la isla.
They're the Indians, the native Indians from the island.
Alticuna.
Alticuna, that is how they are called. These natives from the Panama Darién Gap jungle.
Después de la primera isla que está Armila, la segunda isla, y los pude reconocer.
You know, from the first island that is called Armila, I could recognize them, that they're the ones that they are in charge of this. So after that, what happened after that?
Me golpearon, me abusaron.
They hit me so hard and they sexually assaulted me. They arrived, and I asked a question. They arrived from out of nowhere like that.
Llegaron, robaron a todos que están ahí, nos robaron.
They arrived and they robbed us, all of us. They robbed every single one of us.
Con los armamentos, el chico.
And they robbed us with their automatic weapons. They were carrying weapons. And then the Dominican young man did not want it to be robbed, and they shot him in the hip.
Le dispararon. Y a las mujeres, a las haitianas las violaron frente a sus esposos.
And to the women from Haiti, they raped them. They abused, sexually assaulted them in front of their husbands.
A mí en particular me agarraron por acá por los cabellos juntos.
From me in particularly, they pulled me from the hair and they pulled me to the side.
Con una chica que no se diferencia su país.
They dragged me with another chick that I do not know what country she was from.
No sé si era gocha venezolana o.
I didn't know that she was Venezuelan or Colombian.
Era colombiana. Nos llevaron arriba una parte de un cerro.
They took us all the way to the top of the mountain.
Nos golpearon.
They hit us. They started hitting us.
Nos maltrataron.
They mistreated us.
Dijeron tantas.
They insulted us, a really derogatory language.
Atrocidades. Con los armamentos los metían por las partes bajas.
With their automatic weapons, they were graphic language. I will excuse to my audience. With their automatic weapons, they started penetrating into our private parts. That is what she's saying.
Íntimas de nosotros. Nos escupían, nos pateaban.
They were spitting on us. They were kicking us on the floor.
Me reventaron acá, quedé inconsciente.
They hit me so hard that I was knocked out unconscious.
La chica fue muerta, la mataron.
The girl that I was with, that the one that I did not recognize where she was from, she was pronounced dead. She was dead right there. I don't know if later on they found her body or not.
No sé si habrán encontrado su cuerpo o no. Pero particularmente después de eso quedé inconsciente.
You know, but particularly after that, I was unconscious. I could not, I was unconscious.
No sé cuánto tiempo duré allí.
I didn't know how much time I was there.
Creo que alrededor de 2 o 3 horas cuando me
I was there around 2 to 3 hours. When I woke up,
desperté desnuda a vestirme, empecé a pegar gritos.
I woke up, I started trying to get dressed with something that it was, clothing that it was there. I started screaming for help.
Estaba sola en la selva.
I was alone in the jungle.
10 días en la selva.
I got lost in the jungle for more than 10 days.
En la selva uno se pierde. Estás entre solo y acompañado, sola porque
And in the jungle, when you get lost, sometimes you are alone and sometimes you're with people, because
ella no estaba en mi núcleo familiar, acompañado porque camina mucha gente.
and because there's a lot of people that they walk on the jungle. There's a lot of people that they walk on the jungle.
Caminan alrededor de 1000 personas a diario.
There's around 1,000 people that they walk on a daily basis on the jungle. This is what the Biden administration is doing. This is what the Biden administration is doing. Their open border agenda and their incentivization, it is causing this. Nobody else. The globalist compact of immigration and the other countries that they are also responsible. And also, let me just address a comment right here. Also, that yes, everyone talks about the organized crime in Mexico who controls the borders in the U.S., but there are organized crime throughout all of this travel. Yes, they are. All the way through their own country, people. Many are getting rich from all of this. Yes. This is the organized crime that is organized from Venezuela all the way over here. And the same people, the same migrants from Venezuela have told me and have told multiple journalists, to all you leftist tabloids, Democracy Now!, Daily Beast, MSNBC, CBS, PBS, LA Times, CNN, to all of you, yes, it happens. This is how sad it is. And it starts happening, the enormous abuse towards migrants, it starts happening from this incentivization of open borders, that no government is controlling it, because it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Brings economy to the islands, brings economy to the jungles, brings economy to every little town. Brings economy to them. And because of that, they don't stop it. It is corruption all around. It is human abuse. This is how sad it is. This is completely sad. I'm just going to make a quick pause right here. And a lot of people are not going to like it, but I don't care. I'm a pro-migrant myself. I think migrating is a right that every human being has a right to better themselves and to better their families and to better their lives. But there is a way to do it, documented peacefully, and, according to every law of every country, every immigration law of every country. That is the way to do it. When you are putting yourself in the hands of a coyote or a travel advisor, like they have changed their vocabulary now, you are in the hands of these kind of individuals that they do not care for your life or for your child's life. And you are on a false pretense to believe that everything is going to be okay, that nothing is going to be wrong. But as soon as something happens to you, this is the sad reality of it. Let's continue with the interview.
Solo consigues personas de muchas nacionalidades y te vas uniendo a un grupo, pese de que mi condición no era óptima.
So I started getting, with people, because there's a lot of people traveling in the jungle she's describing. So because of my physical conditions, I could not walk with a lot of people. So I started to catch on with whoever group it was walking in the jungle.
y siempre me iba quedando atrás, me iba quedando atrás.
And every time that I was walking because of my physical condition, I was backlash. I was, staying behind all the
Los
time.
10 días que duré en la selva me tocó tomar agua contaminada por
And in the jungle, there was no other way. I started drinking contaminated water
que hay mucha gente muerta.
because there's a lot of people dead in the jungle.
Mueren niños,
Kids are dying in the jungle.
mueren adultos mayores, mueren chicos.
There's elderly people dying in the jungle. There's women dying in the jungle.
O sea, la selva no tiene edad específica para robar vidas.
The jungle does not have a specific age to steal your life.
Sencillamente muere gente bien. 10 días duré para salir
How long it took you to get out of the jungle? 10 days it took me.
de la selva.
I want to ask you a question, and this is where I asked this question, and I want to tell you what I asked. I said, if you knew that this was going to happen to you, would have taken this trip? Because after all that she has telling me and all of it that she is telling me, particularly saying, oh, you know what, the travel advisors, sadly, this woman believe on these people that they're cheating on her and they took advantage of her. These travel advisors. And now I ask her this question. If you would have known that this was going to be this hard, would have you taken this trip? And this is what she responded. This is what she responded right here.
Jamás y nunca en mi vida.
Never. If I would have known that was going to be the road that I would have been taking, never in my life I would have taken it.
Si me fueran dicho la verdad, los guías.
If they would have told me the truth, the guides, look at how these people are so afraid to call these people for what they are. Even after all that she has gone through, she still calls them guides. She still calls them travel advisors. So she's saying, no, if I would have known, if that would have been my travesty, I would not even take it. I would not even risk my child's and family life. This is what she says also.
Los asesores.
The advisors, again says asesores. The advisors, if they would have been honest. The travel advisors, that's their new cynical name. Travel advisors. Holy cow.
Mira, vas a cruzar esto, jamás y nunca para
If the travel advisors would have been honest and told me, you're gonna be going through this kind of situations, I would not even taken that trip.
Para arriesgar la vida de mi hija.
I would not ever put my life, my child's life at danger.
Así nunca fuera por su integridad.
These traffickers, guides, or coyotes, or whatever you want to call them, they promise you that everything is going to be okay. So in your eyes, it is going to be okay. In their eyes, it is going to be okay, but they're lying.
Es que ni siquiera prometen, ¿cómo te explico? No dicen la verdad.
How do I say this? They're not saying the truth.
Tan sencillo como bonito decir la verdad.
It's really easy to say the truth, but they're not saying the truth. Of course, they're not going to say the truth, ma'am. And I'm so sorry for what she went through. It was so emotional, this interview. It was so, my God, every time that I do these kind of interviews, it shocks me and it takes me and it brings me down, man, because this is abuse. This is complete direct abuse. And she's saying, if they would have told me that this was going to be the way, I would not even pay. But she's complicit of this. And I'm going to say it like it is, crude and raw. And I'm sorry for all the leftist, cornflakes, pancakes, snowflakes. I'm going to be a little bit unsensitive. She's complicit on this because she knew that she was putting her life in hands of a coyote. And this is what happens when you do that.
Mira, vas a pasar por esto. No, te vamos a pasar por una lancha, te vas a pasar por aquí, no vas a tocar esto, vas a caminar 2 horas y ya. Y ya en 2 días estamos aquí, no mentira. Aparte de que los días se van, se desaparecen.
You know, and they should have told us the truth. They should have told us, oh, you're going to be here 2 days, 3 days. I would have known. But, you know, the most sad thing about it is that travel advisors or the guides, they disappear.
En la selva y te quedas sin nadie que te guíe, te vas guiando.
You know, and they leave you alone, stranded in the jungle. So you're basically, you don't know where to go.
Porque en cada rama hay una tirita azul amarrada, por ahí te vas guiando, pero guía.
You know, and you start looking at the trees because at every tree you have a certain signal that the migrants have left behind. So you start guiding yourself with those signals.
Como tal nos llevas. Todos se desaparecen. Esos guías para mí.
You know, everybody gets stranded. Everybody gets lost in the jungle.
Para mi personalidad se reúnen todos y son los que están.
You know, those guides, those travel advisors, for me personally, they're the ones that they're complicit of all of this. Of course they are.
Están robando, lo que están violando.
They're the ones that they're robbing. They're the ones that they're taking us to just basically the lion's den.
A las personas. Los Estados Unidos cuando
I'm saying the United Nations, and I ask this question. I ask this next question. Is the United Nations helping you? Is the United Nations helping you? Or did they help you? Why I ask this question all the time? Because the United Nations are the #1 complicit organization of a lot of people that they have died and lost their lives. And somebody needs to be held accountable, and that is the United Nations. Nobody else. They're the ones that they created this global compact of migration. They're the ones that they're not standing in the middle of the jungle, in the middle of the sea, in the middle of the desert, in the middle of a mountain. They're not there to tell them, hey, you know what? Do not go in there. Do not stay there. Do not walk through there. It is dangerous. Let me help you through other places. This is why I ask, did the United Nations help you?
Naciones Unidas.
Creo que me refieres a la Higher, a la ONU.
I think that you're referencing to the United Nations, the ONU, the UN.
Cuando llegas fui muy bien recibida con la
When you arrived, yes, they received us really good.
gente de Médicos Sin
And also Doctors Without Borders, they receive you and they help you a lot.
Fronteras, con la ONU, y Cruz Roja. Nos atendieron
You know, and also the Red Cross, they were helping us.
muy bien, tenía muchas crisis, depresión.
There were a lot of, crisis of depression, multiple crises of depression, multiple cases of depression. They had a crisis of emotions right there. It was a lot of people having a crisis.
Mucho dolor, mucho maltrato.
So I ask immediately, I interrupt her and I say, well, if they're having multiple crises of emotions, and if you're having a crisis and they're standing in the middle of the jungle, why are they letting you pass? Are they helping you? Because if you have a crisis of emotions and if you've been through hell inside of the jungle, why are they letting you pass? Why they're not helping you to return to a safety zone, to put you on a safe pathway? Why the United Nations is not guiding you like these travel advisors are doing? Why the United Nations is not guiding you to a safe pathway so you will not risk your life? And this is what she said.
Dejan pasar entonces y saben que están pasando por una crisis depresiva, que no los deberían de ayudar en ese momento ahí las Naciones Unidas.
A mí me dieron este documento
They just gave me a document
y me dijeron que cada país donde llegara que lo mostraran para que me brindaran ayuda.
and they told me that every country that I arrived to, I showed this document, and then she shows the document later on.
Pertinente, pero nunca me han ayudado.
But in every country that I have arrived, I have shown my document, and no country has helped me at all. So basically, the help that they are providing the United Nations in the middle of the jungle where they're not supposed to be at, they're supposed to be in between the limitations of people leaving Venezuela. So they're not standing there. So these people are provided a document. She was provided a document that she's going to show you right here in a few seconds. Let me press play.
Donde certifica que fue abusada sexualmente.
This is a document that certifies that I was sexually assaulted in the jungle.
donde relativamente podía pedir asilo político en los Estados Unidos.
where relatively I can easily ask for political asylum into the United States because of the sensitivity of my case.
Porque lo que estoy hablando es sumamente delicado.
Because what I'm talking about is strictly delicate.
Me dijo Panamá. Lo que le pasó, ya le pasó, señora, y no va a recuperar.
And this is what they told me. What just happened to you, you're not going to recover your integrity, and you're not going to recover, something that anything that happened to you on the jungle. You're not going to recover anything. And I asked the last question: are you afraid for your life in Mexico?
Temo por la vida mía, de mi familia y de mi hija.
I am so afraid for the life of my family, my children, and also for mine. This is actually what the Biden administration is doing. Nobody else is doing it. When you have an open border policy and you have these policies that they are completely for open borders, you will provoke a lot of insecurities, a lot of illegalities, and a lot of organizations that they're taking advantage of migrants, that they're taking advantage of the most vulnerable, that they're women and children. Like the most viral video right now that my brother Anthony Agüero has shown as a kid is being sedated, entering the border between Yuma, Arizona, and ultimately between Algodones and Yuma, Arizona. Let me tell you something. A lot of people are talking about the Darién Gap. Nobody is talking about how many people are dying in the deserts and then also in the river of the Rio, Texas, and Eagle Pass, Texas. And also Ajo, Arizona, Naco, Arizona, Yuma, Arizona, Lukeville, Arizona. Nobody is talking about those things. No leftist media, no right, also few right-wing medias, they're talking about it. There's a few networks that they're talking about it. And one of them, the only one that I bet that is talking about it is Real America's Voice News, that has the best border coverage in the country. Other than that, they're not talking about the multiple people, the multiple migrants that they're dying because they're crossing on the desert. And you have these NGOs that they're dropping off water supplies in the middle of the desert. So the organized crime already knows, hey, migrant, like 5 kilometers from here, there's going to be some water right there. High five over there, NGO. High five, John. That is how they're collaborating with this. Instead of creating a safe pathway, no, migrating through a desert and walking 5 to 10 kilometers where you're going to find water. My God, they're helping so much. No, you're provoking for the organized crime to continue with this. These multiple water stations that they're being deliberately being done for cowardly, these travel advisors to continue to flood these deserts with people that they are risking their lives. Where's the humane part of that? It's horrible. It's bad. The most sad thing about it is the unaccompanied minors, the unaccompanied children, the women that are being abused through this kind of circumstance. This is horrible. When you're talking to these people, my God, you feel so much pain because you're watching how they're describing a horrible thing that just happened to them. And just because of that, I would like to share this. This is a document that it was presented by FAIR. Is the Federation for American Immigration Reform. This was presented by the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Look at this. So you go down here and it says, the title is just flabbergasting. Fair analysis, 4.9 million. And I don't like to use this term, illegal. I don't like to use it. A lot of people say, it is what it is, Oscar. It is what it. You use it. I don't want to use it. You use it. I am not going to use it, and you cannot force me to say it. But I will say 4.9 undocumented irregular entrances have entered the border since President Biden took office. 4.9. Let us go down here a little bit and assess right here. Since President Biden took office, nearly 4.9 million undocumented individuals have crossed our borders as they are describing their borders. This includes 3.9 million nationwide, total reported by CBP, which includes a whooping 3.4 million at the southern border, as well as approximately 900,000 gotaways who have entered the country undetected per agency sources. Holy cow. 900,000. Then it says right here, CBP has 199,976 encounters at the southwest border in July of 2022, including 134,362 single adults, 51,822 family units. And guess what? Remember that Joe Biden was complaining about that children were not being trafficked at the debate? Guess what, Joe Biden? Again, you broke another record. Past 2021, and 2021 was more than 34,000. Now, 13,299 unaccompanied minors in terms to this fiscal year. It says right here, this is a 325% increase from the average number of July apprehensions under President Trump. CBP has encountered more undocumented irregular entrances in just 10 months of the fiscal year of 2022 than in the entirety of the fiscal year of 2021. July was the 17th straight month with more than 150,000 encounters. CBP reports, this is why we need filters for these travel advisors to stop abusing women, stop abusing families, stop abusing children. It says right here, CBP reports that 10 individuals on the FBI, this is what they're reporting. 10 individuals on the FBI terrorist watch list were apprehended between ports of entry at the southwest border in July, bringing the total for the current fiscal year to 66 individuals that they were in the terrorist watch list that they have been apprehended at the border. And you got Alejandro Mayorkas, who has been asked about this, and he doesn't want to answer. Then it says on the bottom, it says 2,071 pounds of fentanyl and 12,989 pounds of methamphetamine were seized at the southern border in July, with much more getting through because Border Patrol agents are explaining that they are busy processing undocumented individuals. Lastly, the amount of fentanyl seized in July, it is equivalent to 469 million lethal doses. Holy cow. How many got away? 900,000. That's supposedly what they say. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Buy Me a Coffee is pinned on the chat. If you guys like to contribute to our independent reporting and travel fund, we are going to be traveling soon. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless every single one of you. This is the statistics. Now, because of these insecurities and these non-filtered situations, 2 years ago, a year or 2 years ago, we found out something that it was cooking in a shelter over here in Tijuana. And this has been happening before, as we have discovered lawyers that they have done fake marriages to achieve political asylum of migrants into the United States of America. But this is the most important thing. This is why. This is the number one reason why there needs to be filters. And ultimately, not only that, there needs to be also audits for these NGOs and these activists that a lot of them are on a watch list from the United States of America. And you have them close to vulnerable individuals, to legitimate cases of asylum. Look at these documents, lastly, that I am about to show. This was shown a year ago, and it was discovered by Oscar Blue and the Border Network News team. That means also Real Anthony Agüero. It was discovered over here. We discovered it in Tijuana. What do you see right here? What does this document say? On the top, these are these travel advisors, but they are from the US. I can call them exactly the same because they're doing exactly the same thing. On top, it says bond payment. It says ICE form I-352, and it says U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Right? And on the bottom, it says who is the one that is legitimately in charge. And it says Efrain Lopez. He's from San Diego, California, and he's asking for $3,000 for a arrival to the port of entry to a migrant, making him believe that this is a legitimate document of the Department of Homeland Security. Basically, this individual that he is from the United States, he is committing fraud and stealing from the migrants and making them believe that paying through Western Union a certain amount of money, you will receive this document on a link from Google. You will get in there and you will see your name and like, oh, my payment is ready. Let me go to the port of entry. No, it is a scam. This is what's been happening over here. Then you go right here to the second page of this form. Application for asylum, it says on the top. And for withholding removal, it has the whole names of every single person. And then you get right here where the quantity, the bond, and the address, court address. These are the copies that I was provided with. Then you have all the payments right here. This is unbelievable. This is why filters need to be provided. This is why audits need to be done to these NGOs. And also, not only that, to audits to every organization that is helping migrants to basically achieve their goal. I am a pro-migrant, but I'm against this kind of illegalities and irregularities that people from these activists, that they're taking advantage from the most vulnerable, and then they come over here and they pander, no, we're just helping, what are you doing? This was discovered last year. Making believe, forging documents, making them believe that they are from the Department of Homeland Security, as these travel advisors in Venezuela are making migrants believe that they're going to have a wonderful journey and it is going to be real easy to just travel down south. In Venezuela, you're not even going to touch the jungle, you're going to go around it. Unbelievable. It is the current situation, how it looks like, people. Lastly, I want to put something on the screen that somebody commented a little bit earlier today, and I was so disgusted by that comment. Really disgusted by that comment. I took this and also, yes, ultimately, before I go, yes, you're right. Manager, you're right. The most important thing about that document, that it was a forged document, and also that it was a scam, is that the migrants, they provide their private information to NGOs. So how that information got filtered. And there's one in particular that they provided that information in Tijuana. We have the actual statements from the migrants saying, I did not give to no other organization but to this one my information. Which means that there's more proof that a lot of NGOs are basically filtering information, or they do not have the security that they need to have, as people legitimately are need to be working on these NGOs to help, not to take advantage. To the migrants. Sandy Paris, please behave your language. And also, they're selling their information. We don't know what is going on. We don't know what is happening. This is a video that I shot 2 years ago. More than 2 years ago. It was in a caravan. This video that I'm going to show right now was on a caravan. We got almost 400 people at Getter. How's everybody doing at Getter? Thank you for joining in. How's the War Room posse at Getter, man? Huge shout out to the War Room posse at Getter, to everybody at that is from the War Room posse. Humongous shout out to every single one of you, and thank you for your humongous support, and also to one of the greatest minds in American history, to Mr. Steve Bannon. Let me just tell you about this video and why somebody got upset. Somebody got upset. So I shot this video in a caravan. This individual that just commented on this live feed, it is really an incompetent individual, because they do not know the temperatures that migrants go through when they're walking in Tapachula. It is horrible. It is humidity you don't even imagine how humid it gets. And also, this individual is saying, Oscar, how can you say that this child, it is being abused, when clearly we are seeing that the adult is making her walk through the white line, which means the white line, it is less hot than the concrete that is on the side. For God's sake. Does it matter if it's white? Does it matter if there's a white line, red line, yellow line, blue line, purple line, whatever rainbow line you want to put on the floor? Does it matter? Does it matter? You shouldn't be having a minor or a toddler walking in these circumstances and on these conditions with no shoes and no socks. This is where it pisses me off, that we don't understand the purpose of the video. It is not like, oh, you don't know their story. Possibly they are doing that because it was, no, Messi. Doesn't even matter what kind of story. What it matters is the fact that the matter is that there's an adult male walking with a child on a hot concrete with, I saw her little feet bleeding because of the hot concrete. The whole point is for you to understand that children are not supposed to be walking on caravans. That's the whole point. The point is not to say, oh, she was walking on the white line. He was making her walk on the white line. That is not the point. Thank you so much for joining in. How's everybody doing? God bless every single one of you. Good evening to everybody. We are live from Tijuana, Mexico. It is 2:36 in the evening over here Pacific time. And it is 5:36 East Coast time. And it is 3:36 Mountain time. Unbelievable. We are about to, Joanne, thank you so much for the coffees. God bless every single one of you. Thank you for the coffees. Buy Me a Coffee is on the bottom link. If you guys like to contribute to our independent reporting and travel fund, thank you so much. We are an hour and 5 minutes into this show. I'm about to end it. And later on this week, I will be releasing a shocking video. I haven't released it for security reasons, but I will be releasing a shocking video. And you are going to be amazed on what happens in these massive groups. What kind of individuals and men and women are in these massive groups. Even the migrants themselves, they are being careful about who is migrating with them. God bless every single one of you. Follow my partner, Real Anthony Agüero, on all platforms. You can follow him at Rumble and Getter as Real Anthony Agüero. You can follow Ben Berquam, Frontline America, Ben Berquam, and also Real America's Voice News. Download the app. It is free. Also, the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Download the app. It is free. And you can follow me at Facebook as Oscar El Blue, YouTube Oscar Blue Ramirez, Getter Oscar El Blue Ramirez, Instagram Oscar El Blue Ramirez, and Oscar El Blue Team also. Twitter as Oscar El Blue. I don't know if I said Getter already. Oscar Blue Ramirez Getter. Yes. Thank you so much for joining in. It has been a great show, providing you a lot of information for you to understand the reality and truth of what is happening on our borders. God bless you all. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, peace and love, because always your country's first. God bless.
We're in the middle of everything. They're carrying a child. Look at this. They're carrying a child. Look at this. This is horrible.
Ustedes tienen familia, somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes. Somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes.
Discúlpeme, oficial. They have encapsulated them. They're pushing. Now they're pushing. Some of them, they're escaping underneath to the ranches. Look at this, man. They're throwing rocks. They're hitting the National Guard officers. Throwing rocks over here.
Gosh, what a scene to see really unfolding here, and having them use that rope so that they're all able to stay together is really interesting to see all this happen, Oscar.
Is number 4 in the world for violence and homicides. Due to this factor, the military was moved to Tijuana. And free of San Isidro, next door to the city of Tijuana, Mexico. Migrants looking for asylum from Ukraine arrived to the
Roto, señores, las barreras. Ya no los pueden controlar. They have broke the barriers. They cannot control them.